I have an important question for you. Are you ready? What is your favorite dinosaur? Or better yet, what is your favorite prehistoric creature? If by chance you happen to say an ichthyosaur, you would be in good company. Because today we're going to learn about a famous paleontologist named Mary Anning. Her first major contribution, the first ichthyosaur specimen recognized by the scientific community, was discovered when she was just a kid like you, somewhere between the ages of 10 and 12 years old. This is the story of Mary Anning, the great fossil hunter.
Hi, young historians. Welcome to another episode of Anytime Now. I'm Brooke, co-founder of Honest History. In this episode, we're going to talk about someone who made many significant contributions to science. If you've ever been fascinated by the mysteries of prehistoric life, then you should know Mary Anning, the woman who revolutionized our understanding of the past. Mary was far more than just a fossil hunter. She was a self-taught expert in anatomy, geology, and paleontology. Mary found fossils that dated back millions of years, many of which have never been seen before. She also played an essential role in the development of our understanding of dinosaurs and the history of life on Earth. So sit back and let's dive into her incredible story.
Let's set the scene. Imagine it is the early 19th century, something historians call the Georgian era, and you find yourself on a breezy morning in Lyme Regis. That's a coastal town in Dorset, England, known for its immense fossil bed. The sea air is misty and the tide is low. Large cliffs descend to your left, and the ground is rocky. It is beautiful, right? Maybe you are wearing your trusty bonnet tied around your neck or your favorite cap to keep the mist out of your face. The first recognized dinosaur fossil in England has yet to be discovered, but fossils of prehistoric marine creatures are all the rage, and this place is where it's at. Ammonites, prehistoric marine life that look like a mix between a snail shell and a roly-poly, are the most common finds here. But if you're lucky, you just might uncover something extraordinary. Mary Anning and her older brother Joseph set out to the coast one morning, possibly with their buckets and shovels clanking together as they walked, ready for a hard day's work. You see, the Anning family lived quite poor in their small home in Dorset. While fossil digging was great fun, it was also a way to make extra money in the Georgian area. Mary Anning's father worked as a carpenter and supplemented the family income by selling fossils to tourists. Eventually, the shop would have to be taken over by their mother. It is possible that the task of collecting these geological specimens became the responsibility of both Joseph and Mary. While an ammonite might pay for a day's bread, a large find could equal wages for the entire year. Nowadays, we leave bigger fossils to paleontologists in order to preserve these finds for study and to enjoy in museums. Most places now have laws in place to protect these fossils, though you can still hunt for ammonites in Lyme Regis during the summer. It is important to remember that during Mary Anning's time, people were still learning and growing in the world of science and prehistoric discoveries. When Joseph and Mary set out that day with their shovels and pails, nothing could have prepared them for what they were about to find. At one point in the shoreline expedition, Joseph uncovered a fossil of an ichthyosaur skull. Wait, prehistoric pause. What is an ichthyosaur? An ichthyosaur was a prehistoric marine group that may have resembled a dolphin but was actually distantly related to modern lizards. They had a dorsal fin, just like orcas and dolphins and sharks, and spanned a large portion of the Mesozoic era, somewhere between 251 million to 65.5 million years ago. The biggest Ichthyosaur fossil discovered was somewhere between 20 to 25 meters long. That is almost the size of 2 large school buses. Mary Anning would spend the following months after her brother's mysterious discovery going back to the spot and digging some more. Over time, Mary would discover the first full Ichthyosaur specimen, at least that which was recognized by the scientific community. This was a huge deal, a massive deal. If it was possible to send off fireworks while people threw around confetti chanting, "Anning, Anning," it would have been absolutely justified. While there were no fireworks or confetti, this find would change the course of Mary Anning's life forever. When Mary's discovery was unearthed, no one quite knew what it was. Whispers of mysterious ancient monster buzzed in the ears of neighbors and scientists alike. Now, you and I both know that the Ichthyosaur was no monster. Predator of the ancient deep? Absolutely. But a monster from your grandpa's favorite sci-fi film? Not likely. Often when we see something new and big, it is natural to be a little afraid. This fear can get mixed with our imagination, kind of like adding ingredients to one giant blender. Mixing all those ingredients creates stories in our mind that are not fact. That is why science is so important. The more we learn about the world around us, the less we have to be afraid of. The idea of extinction was very new in Mary Anning's time, and identifying new species of fossils was often difficult because society could only try to compare them to creatures living in the known world. Maybe it was an ancient crocodile that got lost. That is what some scientists concluded. Scientists all over would continue to study and hypothesize. That means ideas based on evidence to investigate, until they came to the final conclusion. Years later, the specimen got its name, which translates to fish lizard. Now, this may sound kind of funny, but most prehistoric creatures have the translation of lizard stuck to their name. Take the Tyrannosaurus rex, for example. Its name, Tyrannosaurus, means tyrant lizard. But the Ichthyosaur wasn't a fish or a lizard. Distantly related to lizards? You betcha! An actual lizard that you beg your mom to let you keep and live in the houseplants? Not so much.
Hi, young historians! Time for a quick break from this amazing story to tell you a bit more about Honest History. If you're enjoying this episode, then you'll love Honest History's magazines and books. Each one is filled with important adventures through the past, like the story of Cheng Yi Sao, a Chinese woman who commanded one of the largest pirate fleets in history, to Mansa Musa from Africa, one of the wealthiest people to ever live. You can pick up a copy or subscribe and receive 3 issues delivered straight to your doorstep every 3 months. Just go to honesthistory.co and use code ANYTIMENOW for a 10% discount. That's honesthistory.co and special promo code ANYTIMENOW. Okay, let's get back to the story.
Now, you would think with such an important find that altered society's views on the prehistoric past that Mary Anning would be sent into stardom, fame, lights. Well, candlelights. The light bulb hadn't been invented yet. But Mary continued on as before, finding fossils and selling them. I know, I hear you. I thought you said this changed her life. And it did. Eventually, Anning's Ichthyosaur would end up in the British Museum, bringing in scientists from all over the world to her little shop, and the money she was given for her find meant her family did not have to worry about wages for almost a year. She would also keep making amazing discoveries as an adult, but as far as being given the recognition she deserved, that would not come until much later. While scientists came to see her and converse about her discoveries, she was rarely, if ever, given credit for her ideas and observations throughout her life.
"The world has used me so unkindly. I fear it has made me suspicious of all mankind,"
wrote Mary in a letter when she was an adult. Her friend Anna would later write that, "The world has used her ill. Men of learning have sucked her brains and made a great deal by publishing works of which she furnished the contents, while she derived none of the advantages." What Anna was saying is that these scientists and scholars were taking Mary Anning's knowledge and writing it as their own, receiving all of the credit and the glory. While Mary made a living wage off her fossil finds, it would appear she longed to be recognized for her intelligence and hard work, as anyone would. This was a time when women were contributing greatly to science and literature, but society preferred they remain anonymous in doing so. That means being encouraged not to put their name on their work. You know how in school your teacher always tells you to write your name at the top so they know who did the work? Imagine being asked to write another name or not writing a name at all. A famous author named Jane Austen, who wrote some of the most beloved books in history, lived in the time of Mary Anning. When she published her most famous work, Pride and Prejudice, it did not say by Jane Austen, but rather by a lady. This was a time in history when women were not allowed to go to university or get paid for their own research, and the family you were born into often decided what career you had. This all played a role in Mary Anning's silent triumphs. As a woman who did not come from wealth, it was much harder for her voice to be heard. That is why, even today, it is important to speak up when we see someone being treated less than others, and to always try to speak with kindness. Someone who did acknowledge Mary as a remarkable woman was Lady Harriet Sylvester. Lady Sylvester was a noblewoman who loved fossils. After visiting Mary Anning, Lady Sylvester wrote in her diary,
"The extraordinary thing about this young woman is that she has made herself so thoroughly acquainted with the science that the moment she finds any bones, she knows what tribe they belong. She fixes the bones on a frame with cement and then makes drawings and has them engraved. It is certainly a wonderful instance of divine favor that this poor ignorant girl should be so blessed, for by reading an application, she arrived to the degree of knowledge as to be in the habit of writing and talking with professors and other clever men on the subject, and they all acknowledge that she understands more of the science than anyone else in the kingdom."
One thing was for sure, Mary was not going to let what others thought of her keep her from advancing the world of paleontology through her discoveries. In 1823, Mary Anning, now in her 20s, discovered something more astonishing than the first full Ichthyosaur specimen. Another prehistoric marine reptile known as a plesiosaur. The first time anyone had found a nearly complete plesiosaur skeleton. She didn't stop there. 5 years later, she would discover the first pterosaur in Britain, a dimorphodon. Let's talk some prehistoric stats. Coming in at up to 15 feet in length with a long neck and a round body, this beautiful group of predators resemble drawings you may have seen of the mythical Loch Ness Monster. But this marine creature was no myth. Plesiosaurs lived between 215 million to 66 million years ago and might have been the biggest, strongest bite of any known creature. And Mary's other find, the pterosaur, was a flying reptile, not dinosaur. The reptile group includes many sizes and variations. The biggest one being the Quetzalcoatlus, which had a wingspan of 36 feet. The dimorphodon, the type of pterosaur Mary Anning unearthed, had a wingspan of almost 6 feet and had large pointed teeth for fishing. Any paleontologist would be lucky to be part of one new and important contribution towards our understanding of prehistoric life. But Mary Anning discovered 3. She would also continue to uncover different ichthyosaurs off the coast of Lyme Regis. Scientists argue that the plesiosaur may have been even more important than her ichthyosaur discovery when she was a child, since it was the very first and helped shape our understanding of the prehistoric ocean. It was such an amazing find that rumors started to spread that it might be fake. It wasn't though. And today, paleontologists are still studying and learning about these impressive marine creatures. Later in life, the British Association for the Advancement of Science recognized Mary Anning's scientific contributions by paying her an annuity. New word alert! Annuity means an agreed amount of money to be given to someone. For Mary Anning, it meant a living wage given yearly by the organization. And finally, a little recognition. After Mary Anning's life, her legacy would be remembered as one of the most important paleontologists, inspiring people for around 200 years and counting to keep discovering and asking questions. Maybe the next big scientific discovery will be found by a kid with a shovel and a curious mind. Maybe that someone will be you.
Welcome back! If you're a fan of fossils, I highly recommend checking out some of Mary Anning's discoveries, which can be found in museums all over the world and in many online archives. And don't forget, new discoveries in science are being made every day. Often, these discoveries add to existing knowledge, but sometimes discoveries can lead to a whole new understanding of the world. We're excited to see what the future holds for uncovering more about the past. If this is your first time listening to our show, be sure to check out some of our previous episodes for more fascinating stories from history. And if you want to learn more about scientists, archaeologists, and other remarkable individuals, be sure to pick up Honest History magazines. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time. This episode was hosted by Nikki Bon and written by Alexandra Petrocelli. Production was led by Randall Lawrence. To learn more about this episode, including more about the host, visit us at honesthistory.co and follow along for updates on social media at Honest History.
When you think about history, are there lots of old guys wearing wigs and stockings? When you think about history, is Napoleon really short? And folks have wooden teeth. Do you know that history can be the most incredible, amazing stories for you and me? Sit back and listen to a story right now. It's honest, it's fun, and it's sure to